Thank you, Denise. You keep an eye on Thelma there to see how she's doing. And we're just going to give it a couple of minutes. It's just 7 there. I know we have a few more to come, but we'll maybe just give it a minute more and then we'll make a start. We have a lot to get through this evening, and we want to kind of start and end on time if possible. That's the plan. Okay. Hello, Michelle Dunn with Mary Murphy. It's great that you're telling me who's here. I love it. It's great to see so many people coming into the session this evening. I think we'll make a start, and maybe by the time we get through some of the introductions here, we will have all of our participants in the session. So I want to say good evening to you all. My name is Michelle Hart, and I am the Shielda Ashter Manager with the National Childhood Network. I'm also the author of the Emotional Wellbeing Programme for the preschool and for the baby and toddler the birth to 3 programme, which is a module of the Healthy Ireland Smart Start programme. So I just wanted to say who I was. We are joined by a panel tonight, which I will introduce you to in a moment. And I would like to welcome you all this evening to our information session on completing the Healthy Ireland Smart Start Preschool Self-Assessment Questionnaire. Don't forget, just because you're muted and you know, you can't see or hear each other, you can still interact during the session, and I would encourage you to use the chat function and to ask questions. We will be keeping an eye on the chat box as we go along, and I would ask you, if you have questions that you would like to ask and you want to raise your hand, if you would wait until the end of each tutor session in relation to each module before we would answer any of those questions. So I'm delighted to see so many of you joining us this evening. We've over 100 participants on this session tonight. The National Childhood Network is dedicated to promoting the health, wellbeing, learning and development of children. From 2021, along with the HSE, we have become more focused in working to support and promote the health and wellbeing of early childhood educators through the HIS programme. In 2022, promoting the health and wellbeing of the sector in general is becoming an even greater topic of concern. We can see how stressed you were during the pandemic and the difficulties that you have faced every day, and alongside all the other challenges that the sector faces. So NCN, along with other support and representative organisations, are working with the Department of Children to share information on the supports available to you. And I actually will share some information at the end of the emotional wellbeing for yourselves on that topic following my session. Tonight, the purpose of our session is to provide information that we hope will support you in completing the self-assessment questionnaire, which hopefully will help you to go towards achieving the Healthy Ireland Award. And given that there are so many of you on this session tonight, it gives a good indication that this is something that you're very interested in. There is no obligation or pressure on you on any service to attain the Healthy Ireland Award. But if you are interested, we are really delighted to have you here, and we want you to be successful in attaining the Healthy Ireland Award. because it provides recognition for the hard work that you do in your service every day, promoting children's health and well-being. And I just want to give you a little reminder that we have 2 slots for validation this year. So you can submit your portfolio for validation on the 27th of May 2022 or on the 15th of December 2022. And of course, we will also be looking for opportunities with the HSE and the DCE DIY to look for ways to highlight the work that you're doing every day in relation to children's health and well-being. The numbers attending tonight are testimony to the hard work and commitment to children, families, and to the early years sector that you have shown every day. And NCN's vision is that early childhood services will be health promoting services in the future, impacting positively on children's health and well-being, and recognising and valued by parents, communities, the HSE, TUSLA, and the Department of Education Inspectorate. We will be recording this session and putting it on the YouTube channel so that you can come back and take a look at this session, maybe look at it again with your colleagues, and to use it as you need going forward if you want to for your Healthy Ireland Award. Access to this shared information and guidance should help you and your colleagues successfully complete the self-evaluation questionnaire and to collate your evidence to demonstrate how you are promoting children's health under each heading of the programme. And we will send you out another questionnaire just as a reminder after this session. So just a few things. There are only 5 modules in the Healthy Ireland Smart Start programme now. A focus on health and safety is no longer included. And I just want to bring that to your attention because in the questionnaire, it says that there are 6 modules. So please disregard that. The modules are nutrition, nurturing emotional well-being, physical activity, health promotion, and oral health. If you would like to send in your information to us electronically using a USB key, we would very much welcome that. And it means that you wouldn't have to print anything. And also we might save a few trees along the way. I would like to welcome and introduce the panel who will be supporting us tonight. And you will recognize these wonderful people as our Smart Start tutors. So, and while I'm introducing them, our panel of tutors, I will just give you the rundown of the session as I'm doing this. So up first, we have Aisling McCormilla, and she will be covering nutrition for us this evening. Then I will cover the nurturing emotional well-being for preschool tonight. It's all preschool tonight. Following me, we have Jennifer Higgins, and she will be covering physical activity. And then we have Abina McCarthy, who will cover health promotion. And finally, we will have Alison King, and Alison will be covering oral health. And just to say, when we are presenting the sessions to you this evening, if you want to see the full screen and only the speaker, just click on the speaker view, which is up at the right hand corner, and it's the second little icon in on the right hand side. So that'll allow you to see the whole page or the whole screen for the presentation and only the speaker who's speaking at that particular time. We hope that you will find this session supportive in working towards your Healthy Ireland Award. And we have 2 little questions running at the end of the session, and we would ask you to fill these out before you sign off. These polls will help us to see if we're providing the best support that we can to you. So without further ado, I am going to ask Aisling to kick off with our first module on nutrition. And yes, I have just a few little things on the chat box there. Yes,
yeah, I've answered those, Michelle.
That's grand. That's all right. Yes, so
yeah.
confirm the 27th of May and the 15th of December. That's grand, Denise. Thank you very much for keeping an eye on that. So Aisling, over to you.
Thank you, Michelle. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining us this evening. Hoping that the information that I'm going to give you now and that the other tutors are going to give you is going to be useful to you. Somebody had that question in there, what is it possible not to pass your validation or not to be successful for validation? Just to say on that, of course, that question will be addressed throughout the course of the evening, I'm sure. But it's very unlikely that if you even give a good attempt to your questionnaire, to answering all the questions that are involved and take your time with it, it's very unlikely that you won't pass it. And really a lot of the things, as I'm sure your tutors have probably already said to you in your training sessions as well, a lot of what's being asked here is really just reflective of things that you're doing already, probably along the way. You'll have your healthy eating policies, no doubt. You'll have your physical activity policies, all the rest. So I'm going to be covering nutrition with you this evening. Anybody has any questions along the way or maybe thinks about something afterwards, you can put your questions during the session in the chat box, or I hopefully will have a wee bit of time at the end to just let people contribute or address a few questions that might come up. But feel free to contact obviously NCM at any time, as I'm sure you all know anyway, would have been explained throughout. So I'm going to start, let me just see, I'm going to start sharing the screen, if I can. Just bear with me for a wee second. That's very okie doke. Now, let me see, I'm just seeing there, it's saying that the host has disabled the screen share, and so you might need to just enable that again at your end in the office there.
Denise,
okay,
can you do that,
Aisling, yeah, hold on now 1 wee second. So if I just go into participants, I don't know why that has happened. Bear with me 1 wee second. I'll call for IT support.
That's grand.
Pauline.
Caroline is asking a question there in relation to, there are two of us in the setting.
Sharing.
Caroline, it's only one self-assessment per setting.
There.
So it's one preschool.
Yeah. You should be okay now, Aisling.
All right, we'll go. There'll always be something, won't there?
The gremlins are always knocking around.
And no doubt there'll be plenty of them before the evening's out. So here we go. So can everybody see that there? Hopefully they can. You should be able to see on the screen there your Smart Start Self-Assessment Questionnaire for Preschools. That should be coming up for you there. So what I've decided to do this evening is really just go through the nutrition module on the questionnaire for people. So you can just maybe, the first thing I'd like to sort of you to think about is how you're going to submit your questionnaire. Chances are you've already decided how you're going to submit your questionnaire or your portfolio at the end. As Michelle mentioned, what we're hoping to encourage is more and more people to submit their work electronically as well. But if people are more comfortable with submitting it as a print, in print format, you can do that still and send, as far as I know, and somebody do correct me if I say anything that's wrong on that, but as far as I know at this present time,
no, that's fine
to submit whatever way you feel is best for you. But I would encourage people, yes, definitely to think about submitting it electronically. I know certainly from an assessment point of view, it definitely makes it quite concise and easy to get through then as well, and it makes it easy when you're doing it as well. I'll show you now how I'm going to do it in a Word document and fill it in directly. But it just makes it easy for you to start filling it in as soon as you can, really, and just start and sit with it, get familiar with the questions in each module, and just start populating it as much as you can. I guarantee you could probably start to populate a lot of the spaces right off the top of your head without really having to look at too much, because as I say, a lot of this is based on your existing practice and a lot of the things that you're doing already. So where you find that you can incorporate elements of your Smart Start program into your existing policies and your programs, then all the better. But I guarantee now, hopefully you will find it easy. So just a wee note at the start. Now, as Michelle said there, so we're not looking at 6 modules, we're looking at 5. The thing I want to draw people's attention to on that is just that part C there. So it's compulsory to complete all questions in each module. So that's the one thing I might have found in assessments before, is sometimes people have forgotten to complete the full question as it's asked. And you know yourself, you probably would have been told in school, always make sure and read the full paper before you answer anything. So read through it and just make sure and highlight as you go, and that you understand exactly all the little bits, because there's a few little bits here and there, not too many, but little bits of detail that can sort of catch out. And people, maybe common mistakes would be people submitting 2 photographs where 4 has been asked for, or you know, neglecting to fill in, say, one of 8 or 9 questions or something in each module, or forgetting to fill out a part C if it's an A, B and C question. So just as I say, just to keep a note there of that part C, it's compulsory. It sounds very intimidating, doesn't it? But it's really just for your own benefit, just to keep an eye on it. Compulsory to keep all questions or complete all questions in each module. And then part D there as well. So a number of questions will also require you to submit evidence, and these are clearly marked with an asterisk. So your evidence might include your policies as they pertain to each module. As I say, I'm doing the nutrition module, so we would be looking for your healthy eating policies when you submit your questionnaire at the end. And I've got there's a couple of other wee documents there, as I say, within that. You're talking maybe a page or 2 per item, but it's important to include all of them. So that's where those parts that are shaded in grey and are marked with an asterisk, that's where you're expected to submit a little bit of evidence. So as I say, it could be a document or it could be photographs, one or the other, and you'll see those per module as well. And I'm going to go through the ones that are required for the nutrition module this evening there as well. So please ensure all evidence is submitted, or please ensure all evidence submitted is recent and up to date. So that's another wee thing. Now, I know that sounds obvious, but if you just make a note of that for yourselves as well, it's very, very important that you are implementing the Smart Start program throughout the course of your year's curriculum. So what we'll be looking to see is that you've done things seasonally throughout the year, or things, say, per term, and that you've got like your daily plans, your weekly plans, things you do monthly or periodically at certain times of the year. So it's important for us to be able to see that you have actually, you know, populated your whole year with elements of the course, and that it runs through your whole curriculum in a sort of an integrated, in a sort of organic way. All right, so you'll see what I mean, hopefully, as we go on a wee bit through that. But as I say, just take a wee note of that things are up to date as well, and you'll see what we require. The dates are important as well when it comes to the photographs as well. It's good to be able to see where people have really kind of done the work and submitted the most recent photographs that they have, or ones that they would have worked on, or pieces of work that they have worked on since they started the training, okay, since the start of the Smart Start training and began implementing it with their own curriculum. So I'm going to go to the nutrition module here. So what I've done here with this, and I know now I would pitch myself in terms of technology as somewhere on the lower middle end of the scale, as sort of like some degree of proficiency, not an awful lot. I don't know how to do anything fancy, but you know, there are certain little things that I can do to make it work for me. So some of this might seem drastically simple if you're very proficient or advanced with technology, and some of it might seem maybe a little complicated. If there's any questions that you have, again, don't be afraid to ask. So as you can see, I'm using this questionnaire. I'm filling it right in. So hopefully you all have, you don't have to necessarily have it now, but hopefully you all received as part of your training the copy of the complete questionnaire with all the questions, and so you should have that nutrition module there. So I literally just downloaded that onto my computer. I've opened it in Word, and I'm just going through each of the questions one by one and populating each space with the answers and the evidence that I need. So I'm just going to highlight a few of those for us. So question 1A there, as you can see. So how does the healthy eating policy in your school ensure the suitable, nutritious, varied food and drink are available for each child? And as you can see there, I've put my answer right in to the document itself. So the document is very easy to work with like that. You can literally just type your answer straight in there if you're comfortable to do that. So it just has a little sample answer there. Just our healthy eating policy ensures we have a meal plan and a range of snacks that are healthy and nutritious, using food pyramid as a guide. So just that, those little, how you would answer that and filling it right in there. So if I want to take something out, for example, I have there at the end, you might have an inclusion in your policy about locally sourced food, for example, that kind of thing. If I want to take anything out, I can just go right to the document and just delete it there and then, or I can change it around. And as I say, if you have that sort of, some of those things populated or filled in kind of relatively early on, you can leave it sit and come back to it then as you need to. And it should be really easy once you're using it in Word to actually change things, move things around. There might have been something that you left out or forgot about and you want to include it, or something that occurred throughout the course of the year that worked out for you. So as I say, now the other little thing I've done there, and again, this might sound very obvious to people, is I have put my answer in italics just to distinguish it from the text of the question. It's not essential, it's not totally important, it just might make it a little bit easier for yourself to review and read back over. I noticed maybe where some people have, say, taken the text and just put it in a different color as well. So you can do that, just right click on it and you know, pop it into a different color as well. So that may be helpful, or it may confuse things, and you pick a format that you find suits you. And as long as you can come back to it and read it easily, then somebody else should be able to as well. So I'm just going to take it out of that color just to leave it in italics. So part B there, as you can see, is the policy regularly reviewed and updated in consultation with all partners, and make sure you have a nice sort of full answer in there. It doesn't have to be overly long, just something that basically states that you acknowledge what the question means and that you have something there to cover your answer. Part C then, please list the partners that you involve in this consultation. So ideally, I suppose a lot of places, and you know, if your setting has extra people that you involve in your consultation, you know, maybe you have grandparents might be involved, or people from local agencies might be involved in helping you set your healthy eating policy, for example. Just make a wee list there of what it is. And if all it is the children, families and parents and the staff in the preschool, that's plenty. And whatever it is for you is what's important. So the other point there, I just want to highlight as well, is where you submit your evidence as well. So in assessments, again, that is one thing that people sort of maybe neglect to do every part of that little section as well. So you've got to include there your copy of your healthy eating policy. Then if you also include, so that's one document, the evidence then of the review in your action plan template. So if you have periodic reviews of your healthy eating policy as well, that you show, I'll show you now in a wee second how you might do that, or just a suggestion of how you might do that. But you want to be including that in, because this is in your grey area marked with your asterisk, so you want to be including that in your evidence that you're required to submit. A copy of the meeting minutes or notes, for example. Now, it doesn't have to be right down. It's not a, you know, it's not a council meeting, it's not a big corporation, but it's good to be able to show that you have acknowledged what's required of you, and that you include some kind of record of what might have been agreed in the meeting in terms of actions as well. I'm just going to show you a little example of that, something I just sort of put together in Word documents there as well. So hopefully you'll be able to see these as well. So say, for example, if you have your healthy eating action plan, this is just one way you might do it. That you might, you know, create a little table for yourself. I'm just going to insert one there. So if you go to insert on a table, and then on that table, then you can make it with as many rows or columns as you need. It could be less, it could be more, just depending on what you want to do. You could have your own headings in there, sort of your agreed actions, how those might work out. Whatever it is that you happen to include, just make sure that you have a copy of it there that somebody else would be able to read clearly. This isn't by any means a set format or anything like that. This is just something I put up together myself. I've seen in assessments combinations of different types of work people would submit. And what I will say to you is that the tidier and the easier it is to read, the better. It doesn't have to necessarily be typed out like a table like this, but if this helps to make it easier for somebody else to look back over, and even for other staff to be able to review as well, then, you know, it could be helpful just to have a wee think about it then as well. So your healthy eating plan review, you might have there, say, your date of your meeting, who is present, and then just sort of rough breakdown of time, doesn't have to be too exact, and then just your the topics that were discussed, any issues that had arisen that were brought to.
Sorry, Ashton, can I just go in a wee second? We can't see your template.
Oh, okay.
We can only see.
The screen sharing is paused for some reason.
Okay, hold on now a wee second till we just see what to do there. It's something that's happening. There are a few gremlins.
Oh, hang on, is that back now? Let me just see. Can you see it now?
No, we just see the questions for the nutrition module.
Oh, you do? Okay, okay.
Actually, I suggest just to maybe unshare and then try and share it again and click on the new screen that you want to share.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Try that. So unshare it there. Try and share it again. All right. Yeah, just share it straight from here. Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. So let me share that one then. So can you see that one?
Yeah, that's good.
So like I say, guys, the important thing to remember here is that this is, you don't definitely have to submit that in this format, if you like. I've only just done it up by way of an example in case it's helpful, because as I say, in assessments I've seen where people, you know, a right scale of the type of thing that people might submit. So you'll get some sort of kind of messy documents thrown in, handwritten, the handwriting is scrawled. I don't mean to sound like a school teacher, but it makes it sort of hard to understand or to read. I'll have seen other portfolios as well where it wasn't submitted at all and people hadn't kept it in. Now, it's not to say that you will lose marks for it or anything like that, but it really just is a way to sort of kind of keep your own documentation together as well. So it just might be a compliment to the fact that this is you know, it's really a reflective tool as well, you know, something that should hopefully support you in your own practice. So the more easily you know, you can get back to it and review things for yourself, the better. So hopefully that makes sense. And as I say, if anybody has any questions on that, then don't be afraid to ask. So as I say, that's just an example. I'm going to just go back to, let me just see, just an idea as well of a policy. Again, please don't copy this one. This is just, as I say, just wanted to include it so that you might see what it would look like. Hopefully people can see that sample healthy eating policy. Can you see that there?
Yes.
You can.
Yeah.
That's fine. Okie doke. So yeah, so this is just an example, and I'm sure now I've no doubt that you have all your much better healthy eating policies already. So it's just, as I say, make sure and have it in there, whatever format that document takes and whatever it contains is going to suit your setting and obviously not anybody else's. So this is just an example. So just to go back to the main document then as well, back to the questionnaire itself, and share that. So let me see. So can you see the nutrition module again there?
Yeah. Yes.
That's grand. So that's just that first wee set of questions. And I don't particularly want to labour over this part, but I just feel it was one little area where it would be sort of relatively easy to have included the things that were asked. And it was one area that a lot of people sort of seem to gloss over or leave it out. And it's, you know, it should be sort of something simple, hopefully that's easy to actually include and to submit it. And then I said at the end, so you can decide then how you want to attach or include that supporting document, as long as it's there and somebody can get at it easily. That's the main thing. So you can have it at, say, the end of each module. You can include it there, just submit it as an extra document into that main Word document. Or you might do an appendix at the end and just maybe make a little reference here as to appendix page 1 or whatever it is, you know, and then we have a little list of the documents that are included. So the healthy eating policy, the review the review and your action plan template, and a copy of meeting or notes from our meeting regarding the healthy eating policy. All right, so hopefully that's clear enough. And as I say, don't be afraid to fire in some questions. I'm going to just carry on as well. I'm conscious of the time as well, and we believe we can come back to that now, hopefully, if we have time at the end as well. Question 2. So as I say, so that first part really is you've just got to be mindful of the documentation that's been asked of you. The rest of the questions, most of them are what we see here. Please describe how you do this in less than 100 words. Okay, so it's one of them little things as well. Sometimes, and I really don't want to be patronizing here, but sometimes people don't realize that 100 words really isn't an awful lot of words as well. So, and the other nice thing about doing these things in Word as well, so if you highlight what you've put in there, and if you go to, you see, I can't see it there, and it was my Zoom screen on, but if you go to your review in your Word, I can't think of the word for it, your Word feature there, so your review heading there at the top of the page, it's just right underneath my the Zoom bar here. But if you do that, then you can check how many words you have in each section as well. So I know from counting these earlier on, this is, you know, quite over the 100-word mark. So even though it looks like fairly sort of short and concise type of answer, it is actually over the mark. So some of that could be taken out. All right. So in that, as I say, just by way of an example, you say we integrate our nutrition plan with other areas of the overall health promoting plan as much as possible. For example, our healthy eating policy based on best practice guidelines requires that we only make milk and water available as drinks. Our menu is designed so we can provide a healthy range of meals and snacks with plenty of whole foods and vegetables. So you might just reword all of that. I have mentioned here how your nutrition policy or healthy eating policy supports oral health. Now I have there as well, as you can see, that it's a requirement there at the top about hand hygiene. So I imagine that's a sort of a remnant of when health and safety was still one of the 6 modules that we were required to answer on. So because it isn't now, don't worry too much about that. I do have a wee answer included on there. Children are taught the process of correct hand washing, especially before food preparation and meals in accordance with health and safety policy. We encourage healthy attitudes to food and positive feelings around meal times through our attention to creating a healthy eating environment where staff sit and eat with the children so as to model supportive eating behaviours. We also discuss why we need food with the children and encourage body awareness and knowledge of which foods give us energy and help us grow. So that's just a sample of how you might populate that, but I'm sure you all will have much better answers to actually fill in there. And as I say, you know, obviously you can move parts out, you can change them, you can use spell check as well, which is the other advantage of actually doing this on the computer in Word then as well. And I would say, because it is mostly a text document, doing it in Word is pretty easy. It'd be different if it was, now you can bring in your pictures and all of that, and I'll be going through that as well with one of the later questions. But because it's mostly word answers or text answers, sorry, and most of them are relatively short, they're not that long, doing it in Word really does make it kind of convenient, well, to me anyway. So as I say, you might have your own ideas and the other tutors might have different suggestions as well, but I guess I've worked with how I would find it the easiest, and not just only to actually submit myself if I was doing it, but then also to actually look at then as from an assessment point of view then too. So excuse me, so the next question then, so how is information on healthy eating promoted through the curriculum? Again, you can see there, I've again italicized the answer there just to distinguish it from the question. I talk about posters and displays, food tasting, cooking, involving the children in positive dining experiences. Again, your answers I'm sure will be better, and you'll have your own ideas about how you might do that. This will all be available actually afterwards. If anybody did want a copy of my document, then you can definitely have that afterwards, I'm sure. So question 4 then. So as you can see, all I really wanted to highlight was that was, you know, there's your 2 answers in there. So hopefully you'll find that, looking at it that way, it shouldn't seem too intimidating, I'm hoping. And the only way you'll find it that it doesn't feel intimidating when you look at the document is if you really sit down with it and just get into it. And I suppose hopefully anybody that has already been filling in their questionnaires already will have found that when you get into it, it's hopefully not too bad. And really, as I say, because there's only 2 questions within this module that require you to submit evidence as well, hopefully that should make it feel quite doable too. So how does your preschool room provide a supportive environment for healthy eating, such as your posters with key messages, cards, books, sugar displays, positive dining experience, etc. So I didn't actually fill that in. If we hadn't had such a large group this evening, I wasn't totally expecting such a big group, but if we hadn't had such a big group, it might have got you at this point to sort of chip in a few answers there. If anybody feels like throwing a few answers into the chat box, do feel free. But we'll not maybe facilitate that as a whole discussion between everybody, but I would really have loved to actually hear some of your own ideas about how you maybe set up your environment, or what features that you have found within your own settings or within your own rooms that have actually worked. So Magella has raised a hand there. Let me just see if Magella, have you put an answer or a question? Sorry.
Yeah, Magella, put your question in the chat box and we'll try and answer.
That's great. I'm just going to carry on with that then, guys, as well. All right, so we'll hopefully come back to that. Magella, if you have your question there, do feel free to pop it in the chat box if that's okay. So as I say, keep in mind there for question 4 exactly how you might set up your room. So as I said, you guys are the ones with the superior ideas around that. Now, question 5 is the other sort of main one that I wanted to draw people's attention to as well. Again, you can see it's the shaded with grey, marked with an asterisk. So that means you've got to submit evidence here. Now, your evidence here in this instance is you're talking about photographs, all right. Georgina, you have asked a question there as well. And Georgina, if you don't mind, maybe just popping a wee question in your chat box then as well. I'll come back to it maybe when I've just finished this question 5, if that's okay. The question 5 then pertains to celebratory occasions. Okay, so you've got there that first part of it, which is to list your alternatives, your healthy food options and activities that you use at celebrations such as birthdays, festive days. So that might include Christmas, Halloween, Easter, Valentine's Day, any occasion that you can think of. That's what that means. Any outings that you might have, if the children take a snack or maybe a little bit of lunch with them for an outing, or a picnic, for example, those are things that you can think about including here. So I'm sure out of the whole gamut of things that you probably do with the children for these events as well, you're only asked to include or submit 4 photographs. So the one thing I would say is just make sure you do put in your 4 photographs, no more, no less if you can. The temptation might be there for some people. I'm sure it's not for everybody. It wouldn't be for me anyway, because I'd only like to put in sort of the minimum of pictures, you know, that I have to, because even you might have lovely pictures there of things that you've done, but it starts turning into a bit of a handling when you're trying to add in pictures and resize them and all of that kind of thing. So 4 pictures is all that's required. Make sure that they are clear pictures if you can. We guideline that I would use there is try and shoot things in natural light as much as possible. So that could be outdoors or it could be beside a window. So if you have a good bit of light falling on what you're trying to photograph, then it should come out nice and clear as well. One thing, again, mistakes again to avoid there is sometimes people put in very blurry photographs. Sometimes the photographs are too small, and that's okay. It's not we're not judging the quality of your photographs. It's just where it makes it more difficult to see exactly what's going on. Sometimes that might be a wee bit of a problem. So if you just make a list there under that part A of what it is that you include as healthy food options for those festive occasions. Wee samples that I've included there are your fruit birthday cakes, your homemade breads or pastries that maybe the children might have helped to make, fun fruit skewers, smoothies, vegetable bites, cheese fingers, you know, working maybe with as many of the the list of healthy snacks that you'll find in your Smart Start nutrition module then as well. There's loads and loads of suggestions there. So then using decorative plates, fun table accessories, maybe bunting or things like that to make the place look festive, eye-catching, and again, ideally all the children involved in preparing the food then as well. So please then, part B, please submit a photograph showing how you've incorporated the healthy eating policy in four different celebratory occasions. So that's what I say, 4 different occasions. Now, the one thing you'll see people doing here is they'll put in 3 photographs of one event or of one occasion. And if you just be careful to, you know, just really ensure that you are putting in what's asked for. So you need 4 different occasions. So for example, that could be a birthday, Christmas, Halloween, and Easter. So you might pick those 4 events. Or it could be a summer picnic, Halloween, Valentine's Day, and maybe St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day is a nice one that people like to do, lots of green things as well, which goes well with healthy eating. So then each photograph should be dated and include a brief narrative. Now again, just make a wee note of that for yourselves if you would. The date is important here as well. Again, like I mentioned at the start of the module, we need to be able to see when we review your evidence that you submit as well, that you carried out your program over the course of the year as well. So, you know, it's not exactly something that will be inspected exactly, but it's sort of helpful to be able to see that, you know, this was a sustained effort. It wasn't just a one-off type of event, which would link back then to the sustainability aspect of your health promotion principles then as well, which is important that whatever effort that you make in you know, creating your health promoting policies, that they are sustained and carried on throughout the course of your whole curriculum for your whole year and beyond, obviously, and that they're easy to repeat and to do again as well. Okay, so please submit your photograph showing how you've incorporated the healthy eating policy, 4 different occasions, and your brief narrative as well. I knew there was something else there I wanted to mention. So your brief narrative, just a few words to be able to describe what's going on in your picture. And again, I know it sounds simple, but people do leave it out as well. So this is just one way I'm just going to show you of how you could think about doing it as well. So you've got your, you can insert, if you can go to insert there at your bar there as well on the Word program then as well, you can insert a picture. I'll do a sample of it now in a wee second. And you've got your picture there, and then you have your little bit of text or writing that you put in. So even if you're going to do this by hand as well, if you're handwriting this as opposed to typing it, just make sure that however you submit it, that you do have a little description of what it is you're submitting here. So that's one for a sample birthday cake that you might use for unhealthy Halloween treats here, as you can see on the right. And I'm just going to do one more thing, and I think I'm probably running out of time. But if I go to another page here, and I'm just going to insert a picture so you can see how easy it is. So go to a picture, and I'm going to include this for Valentine's Day. So just choose that picture, insert, and then I can resize that as I need to. Quite easy, and then that's quite big, so I might just resize that. So go to the corner, pop it in a wee bit, just tidy it up. I'm gonna, sorry, come back to that in a second. Pop it in there, and then I can, oh, what I've done here. Sorry. This tech, nothing runs smooth, doesn't it? You could do this 100 times when nobody's watching. Nothing would ever go wrong. I don't know what I've done there. I put it in a bit.
It's okay. It's in the header. That's the only problem. If you delete it and put it into the main text, it's fine. It's just landed in the header.
Oh, I see what I've done. I get you. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna just go back.
Thanks, Sabina.
So thanks, Sabina. Yeah, I couldn't figure out what I'd done there. I had just popped it in. So, oh gosh, where was on to? Way down to oral health. Yeah. Ah, there we go. All right, so it should be here. Let me just see. Okay.
Perfect.
There we go. So again, as I say, you can insert there your picture. Take that one again. We'll try it this time without making such a fuss. And I just reduce the size of that again. You can just, ideally you drag from the corner just to, if you're resizing your pictures down, for example, you go from the corner so it stays proportional. Then if you go from sort of, I know this is a really simple little thing, I don't want to labor on it, but if you go from, say, the bottom or the sides, your image is going to get stretched, or it's going to start looking a bit weird. So for example, if I do that, then it starts looking less clear. So whenever you're resizing your picture, always go from the corner, and it should hopefully stay in proportion then as you move it and change it around. All right. So there's only the next few questions then are really just word based again. So I'm not going to labor too long over those. So hopefully those are sort of clear enough to people. Again, it's just sort of looking at what 100 words might look like within your answer in that part of that question. So as I say, just remembering on that little previous bit there with the photographs, make sure you put your 4 photographs in. That's, you know, more times you'll see 2 photographs or 3 photographs, maybe they're of the same thing. Another wee thing there just to mention on that as well, sometimes some settings will have wooden birthday cakes, or they'll have say non-food treats. Like those are perfectly fine and they totally have their place. But what I would say is what you want to do here is use your celebratory occasions to promote healthy food. So it's a way to sort of maybe encourage children who don't really want to taste new things, or really try healthy food or continue to eat it. It's a way to sort of make it more exciting and more fun for them. So it is important to actually make it a food occasion. All right, and I know all those the wooden birthday cakes and things like that, they're good and they have their place, but what's really required of you here is that you show good healthy food alternatives as well. All right, that would be the main thing I would say there. So so then making use of your available space. So I mentioned here in my answer how this particular setting I've used as an example doesn't have much outdoor space, so they might grow food in pots within the setting, and might maybe visit a community garden and connect with maybe local gardening groups or growing groups as well. So that might be one way. Now your setting might be somewhere where you can actually use, maybe you have adequate space outside to be able to grow your own little garden, so you can mention that and how you did it, or talk about it there in that answer. Okay, so how you would encourage children to be aware of healthy food, good nutrition practices such as growing food, or any way that you use your outdoor space to do that, to promote that idea as well. Okay, let me see. Oh yes, there we go. So then question 7, so quite long in nutrition. So how is support provided for parents, children and staff on the topic of healthy eating? So how you do that? Again, please describe in less than 100 words. As you can see, I haven't italicized that, so I'm just going to highlight all that piece of text that I've used for an answer, pop it into italics, and then that just distinguishes my answer from the question. All right, so you can detail there within your answer on that section how it is that you provide support for the parents, the children and staff on healthy eating, how you disseminate your information. For example, as you can see, the example given here is information on healthy lunches provided to children, what kind of sugar displays you might have, anything that you have within your setting, then you can talk about that within that question 7. And then question 8 talks about how does your preschool foster partnership with parents in relation to healthy eating? So how do you build that relationship with the families as well? So how does the work make it home, for example? So whatever means it is that you might use, whether it's email, WhatsApp, you might set up a private Facebook page, for example. You might do information sessions or even tasting sessions with families as well. We've seen over the years as well, of course, a lot of these things became sort of impossible with COVID, and hopefully they'll be coming back in soon. But where you had families maybe from different cultures as well, might have visited the setting and maybe made some food with the children, or maybe talked about food that would grow in their countries as well. It could be quite a nice thing to do. So however it is that you foster partnership with families in relation to healthy, that's what you talk about there in that question 8. And again, I'm just going to italicize that just to distinguish it from the question. All right. And then last but not least, question 9. And this is one as well. Now, I know obviously just to not rear the talk of the C word, as we might, this is one that a lot of people really kind of ducked out on a little bit in some of the assessments from last year. I noticed. So does your preschool foster partnerships with local food producers, butchers, farmer, breadman, gardener, etc. So that could be as simple as maybe the local farmer has chickens and sells the eggs, and maybe you know that you can talk to the children, maybe if it was possible to make a little visit to see the chickens so you can see where these things come from. Whatever it is that you do, as I say, mentioned in one of the earlier answers there, where you might take your children to regularly visit a community garden or something similar, then you might sort of build that connection with the gardener. You might have them do demos or talks or that kind of thing. One of the things I mentioned here is due to the COVID restrictions, you know, a planned visit to the bakery wasn't possible. So the baker themselves then made a video that you're able to share with the children as well. So that's another way around perhaps, you know, still being under restrictions for another while if you're trying to foster these type of relationships out in the community then as well. So any ways that you can do that at all, it's really good to do that. Connect with local shops perhaps as well that do organic food. It could be anything from your local super value to a local small organic producers or farmers market. Any way that you can connect with those, share that information with the children, families, build the relationships with those people out there in the community then as well. That's going to be a really big important part of helping children understand and learn about healthy food and where it all comes from then as well. So I also want to apologize if my computer is quite noisy because the little fan struggles sometimes with, especially with working as hard as this. So I'm going to mute myself now in a second, and hopefully if anybody has
Ashling, can I just, sorry, there's just
Yeah.
a little question there in that last question. There's no guide with regard to the number of words. So is it 100 there or
Oh.
more?
Now, what I'm going to say to you there is, guys, I imagine it's 100 words. I don't know if Maureen or Michelle might remember there what that might be. I think it is 100 words. What I would say to you there, guys, is if you can see here with a little bit I highlighted it says, does your preschool foster partnerships with local food producers, blah, blah, blah. And it has there yes or no. Now, some people just put in no. It's not something that they do. And that's okay as well. It is nice though if it is possible, it has a sort of a practical purpose, so it's nice to be able to do it. Now, seeing as all of the other answers are 100 words or less, I'm imagining that
We'll say 100. Yeah.
We'll say 100, Ashley.
I probably deleted that by mistake when I was just popping in my own answer there. So as you can see then as well, I'm going to just highlight as well is the fact that that would definitely be a lot more than 100 words.
Okay,
And
we'll say 100. Yeah, that's good to know, Trish, thanks.
It's in and around 140 or thereabouts. So
yeah,
you want to be cutting parts of that out and maybe just chopping it down a wee bit. So I'm just going to see then, have we got any questions coming in? I'm sorry, I hope I haven't run over.
Yeah, we've just gone a little bit over, Ashling. So as the questions have been coming in into the chat, the questions and answers, I think Michelle and I have managed to answer all of them.
Okay. Good.
Somebody did raise their hand. Was it Magella? Anna, do you want to ask a question? Do you want us to unmute you? Can do that. Two participants raised hand. Okay.
Yeah, you can probably unmute yourself. I was saying.
Yeah, do you want to just try that?
You
have it in the question box, Anna. Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, Anna.
Okay, so here's a question. Does it have to be a celebration? We cook, bake every week and encourage healthy eating in this way. Will this be sufficient for photo evidence?
Well, the question is, I would say it does, and this is where I said now at the start, it is important to just be sure to follow as much as you can what the question asks of you as well. And that way then you'll not get confused along the fact that you're doing a lot of that is absolutely brilliant, and that should hopefully inform a lot of the rest of your answers then as well. But the question does say celebratory occasions, so there are a lot of them throughout the year, so it would be good to sort of think about how you might do that then as well, you know, or if you're not doing that, then maybe you could talk about what you've done instead, that, you know, just maybe highlight the fact that you do things regularly. But for celebratory occasions, I mean, you could have a lot more ideally, you know, or, you know, if there was room for it, but I'm hoping it wouldn't be too hard to sort of you as a sort of a by the way, whether it's, as I say, there's a lot to choose from. You have Christmas, Halloween, birthdays, you could even think about New Year's possibly as well, though I know everybody's usually off at that stage. Easter, Valentine's, now we have St. Bridget's Day. A lot of people are making a lot more fuss about St. Bridget's Day as well, and I believe there are certain food things that you can make on St. Bridget's Day as well.
Yeah, just I'll come in there. I think from a HSE perspective, I think because there's a lot of celebrations in our year, as Aisling said, I think what they were looking for was that in every celebration event that we have, that you know, that we were reflecting on our healthy eating in our settings, you know. So instead of chocolates at Valentine's Day, there was lovely strawberries there, Aisling, in that picture that you've shown, and that you have reflected that in celebration events where we do tend to eat maybe a little bit more unhealthily, and given that there's so many of them, that we would be encouraging healthy eating in this way. So I suppose it's just to build that sort of ideas in early childhood, in preschool settings, so that no matter what the occasion is, that there are always healthy foods available, and that this becomes the norm.
Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, exactly. That's the idea, is to sort of like build a sort of normality around certain healthy foods where we might be used to seeing a lot more unhealthy options at these occasions. And it's not about preaching to anybody. It's not about, you know, it's really just about putting out different suggestions out there, and you know, any opportunity. It really is like a celebratory occasion is just an opportunity to sort of expose children to a different type of eating experience as well, where they might get the chance to eat you know, something healthy that also has a fun association with it, that they're not eating it because they've been told they have to because it's good for them, that there is a sort of an element of fun to it. And then it's, you know, a different perception they might develop then around tasting it and trying these things and experimenting a wee bit. But I would say there, Mary Purcell as well has asked, what about services that don't serve food? The children bring in their own food. So that's where you would see, Mary, in the question there. It's really, as the question asks, I think it's 7 or 8 there. How does your preschool share that information, basically? So if children are bringing in their own food, what you might think about sending out then to the families then is information on healthy lunches, and what your policies are then. So this should be in your policy hopefully as well, about what your policy is if something comes in that's really not, you know, that you don't have in your setting, that you've decided not to include as part of your meal plan, or foods that are regularly eaten within the setting as well. So say, for example, and it will happen in courses, that, you know, the child has a packet of biscuits sent in with the lunch, for example. So what's your policy on that? And that will change obviously from setting to setting. Some people, and mostly the advice would say it is in the guidelines there as well, that anything that's unhealthy in the lunchbox ideally gets sent home as well. And then that parents are just reminded that told really from the outset, or that you share from the outset what your healthy eating policy is, and what's, if lunches are coming in, then what's, you know, you can obviously have your healthy eating suggestions in there as well, and then you can have the things, hopefully that it will be clear for parents that what is really not advised to put in the lunchbox, put it that way. If anybody has anything to add to that, please.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to come in there, folks, because Aisling, thanks a million. That was really, really useful. I'm just watching the time, and I'm just conscious that we have each module, Georgina, not every module won't take this time. Some modules are shorter than others. The nutrition one is quite long, as is health promotion and emotional well-being, but the other modules are quite short. Sorry, Michelle, back to you. Thanks a million, tutor number 1.
Thank you, Aisling. If you could just unshare your screen, and I will get quickly onto the emotional well-being. Okay. Hopefully we're going. Okay. Folks, I will not be able to keep an eye on my questions, but I hope to answer any question that you might have at the end in relation to the emotional well-being. So I'm delighted to get talking to you this evening about this. And what I will say to you is that for settings who are looking at this section, what I am going to give you tonight is our little stories about how early childhood services, preschool services tonight have shown me how they are implementing the nurturing emotional well-being in their setting. So I have some lovely little stories that they have given me, and I won't be able to go through them all, but I will go through a lot of them with you tonight, and I hope that you will find this useful, because I know from talking to the settings that they wanted a little bit of help around how they might structure this section and how much they needed to give in terms of evidence and things like that. As Aisling said, I didn't date my photographs, but you'll see why whenever we come on to the evidence in relation to the programme. So in terms of question 1, this question and question 1B is around how the preschool provides opportunities for children to engage with the resources provided through the programme, and how these resources are made accessible to the child at all times. So what I have done tonight is to share examples of what settings have already sent me in. I mightn't have all the pictures. It takes a bit of time to get permission for those, but I do have a lot of the stories that the settings have sent me in. So for example, there's you can see a range of pictures of resources at the child's level. You can see the mood tree and things like that. We've got a picture of the routine of the day, and one setting sent me in an example just to say that they use it at different times in story time, in music, in movement and play. Some of the settings have introduced the prop box, and you can see there those are the opportunities that they've made for the children, which I'll come on to in a minute. But again, they're made accessible to the children, and they're down at the children's level. And we had a lovely little example from a group that said that they used the emotion span to support children to name their feelings in the moment when they were having problem sharing, and that they sent, this is pre-COVID obviously, we sent these home to help parents talk to their children about emotions, especially those who may have difficulties with literacy or whose first language is not English. So this is just, these are just lovely examples of how settings are doing this. One setting has said that at the beginning of the day, they invited children to post how they feel when they were coming into preschool, and they were using a mood tree. So if they posted the red, obviously they were a little angry, and the early childhood provider then was able to talk about, you know, what happened on the way into school this morning, you know. So we're getting lovely little stories like that are emerging, and you can see that I've kept those very small because, you know, obviously I don't want you to write reams and reams, and I just want little examples of actually what you're doing in practice. So that's just question 1 and question 1B. I hope I'm not going too fast. Guys, I am very conscious that sometimes I can talk very quickly. So please tell me to slow down if you need me to slow down. We just have a picture here of one of our educators reading some of the stories at story time and things like that. Do we need to blur the children's faces? If you don't have permission, yes, you will have to blur the children's faces. In some cases, I have permission here to show you those, but you'll see as we go through some of the questions, actually some of the questions or the faces are blurred of the children, and that's where, while we have permission to use the photo, the educators have blurred those out. So you can do that yeah, if you want. Okay. I can't seem to go. I need to stop share, folks. I'm not able to move my screen for some reason down. Hold on. Okay, I don't know what's happening here. Just give me a wee second. Okay. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, can we see that now? I might have to just leave it in this one, folks. I don't seem to be able to move down the screen. Can everybody see that okay?
Yes,
Perfect.
Michelle. Yeah, we
Grand,
can.
okay, we'll
Yeah.
maybe just leave it like this. So
Okay.
then, obviously the question I've added into this one, 1B, in terms of how the resources are made accessible to the children. And you can see we just have a lovely picture there, and the resources are left out during the day and in different places so that children can access these when they wish. We might have a picture. Here we have an example from a setting who said they use happy, sad and afraid at setting in time during September. And they might just use those for a little while. At Halloween, we read the story Scared, and some children were afraid of masks and the fireworks. And we left the Scared book out with some masks so that children could play and act out their emotions in the story area. Again, nice and simple and short. One group told me that they, when they talked to the children about being afraid of the dark, scared of the dark, when reading the Scared book, so they extended this by looking at shadow and light, and we made our own light box and played with the torches in the tent. So some lovely things coming out of some of the books and some of the topics that I don't know, sparked the children's interest at any particular time. So that's just 1A. So that's 1A and 1B. So then in terms of question 2, I think a lot of people actually find this one quite difficult. So I thought I'd do 3 examples for you. In the curriculum timeline that you will be familiar with, that's the big A3 sheet of the curriculum. And it gives across 3 terms examples what you might do. So in September and December, so this group said in September, we noticed some children were a little nervous about making new friends. So we used the book Scared and Nervous and created a friendship bench, which they did outside. We also helped children to make friends during playtime, noticing when children were watching play and giving them ways to get in on the play. So for example, we gave one child a piece of guttering to add to the water play outside to extend the play and to help them, I suppose, make friends. Another example would be that in February, we made cards for the people we love. So instead of just doing it for parents, because we know that families are made up of very diverse people, we made cards for the people we love. And then we had a mum and dad who were getting married, and they had a wedding in the home corner, and they made invitations and they dressed up and had a big party in the setting. So that's another example what we got from there. In April and June, we do a lot of work around transitions. Some of the examples were that we used the Nervous book so that children could talk about things they might be worried or nervous about going to school. And we followed up by making our own worry monster that eats up all our worries and took them away. And I'm going to elaborate on that example when we come to looking at the transitions piece. So those are just 3 examples of the curriculum timeline in action, and in a I suppose structured in a way that I hope would make it easy for you to think about. Well, you know, we're doing this or we've done that, so easy for you to be able to put it together, basically. So we have we've used the same picture you can see here as the worry monster which I'll come on to in a minute. So you can double up and use your pictures, particularly if you've got more than one example. So don't be afraid to do that. So we have an example then of children settling in and moving on. So in September, we noticed some children were a little nervous about making friends, and we told you that we read the book Scared and Nervous and created the friendship bench. But we also encourage children to use, so we've extended this answer. We've encouraged children to use the bench if they needed a friend, and we modelled how it could be used with adults, you know, so the two adults in the room modelled how the friendship bench could be used. We also helped children to make friends during playtime. For example, I see, Sean, you like the water tray a lot. So does Sarah. Would you like to show Sarah what you like to play best at the water tray? So introducing and ways of helping children to settle in. So that's just one example of that. An example of moving on to school. We've already given you the example of using the worry monster with the children. The children drew on paper the things they were worried about going to school. This is a lovely way to capture the voice of the child, and something we'll pick up again in the feedback sheets. We asked the worry monster to take all our worries away. We were able then to say to parents, Jack seems to be afraid of the new toilets at the big school. Could you pass that along to his new teacher? Sarah is nervous of the big playground. Well, maybe you could visit a few times to help ease her fears before she might go on. And this one actually is related to a COVID example. Our class were all moving on to the same school. The new teacher read the story of being nervous to our preschool children who were all moving on together. She read the story online on their laptop in order to get to know their new teacher. And she was able to show the children their new classroom after the story was finished. So she just lifted up the laptop and showed the children around, which I thought was a nice way of using the materials that I already have and engaging with the school. And hopefully those are some things that you guys are already doing, but ways that you can showcase how you're really supporting children to settle in and then to move on. Okay. Are we all right, folks? Am I going too fast? Somebody give me a thumbs up. We're okay.
You're grand. Keep
Okay.
going.
Keep going. Okay. Okay. So then in question 2, we're also looking for an example of an observation and a learned story. And I think people got a wee bit worried about this because they thought maybe I wanted reams and reams of stuff. And actually, I wanted just to show you some of the examples that I did get in. So this was an example from one of the preschools where they had noticed that one of their boys was very jealous of their new baby, and their behavior they were just unsettled a bit and a wee bit withdrawn. So with a new member of the family, Sean was jealous of his new sister. So we read the story and talked about how natural it is to feel jealous, because we all feel jealous sometimes. And we discussed how we feel jealous when someone has a toy we want, or possibly when the new baby gets lots of attention. So we tried to make, suppose this setting tried to make it easy for children to try and understand jealousy, because they often feel it, but they can't express actually what that means. We had the idea of making, we talked about how good it is to be a big brother and all the good things that big brothers can do. And we had the idea of making a welcome card for the baby, and all the children in the class helped Sean, which made Sean feel really good. We followed up by reading the love book to remind us that even though there may be new people coming into our families, there's always plenty of love to go around. So I thought that was a lovely example of a learning story. Now, I couldn't get permission for the photographs there, but you can see there that that's a beautiful example of that. Another example that we talked about earlier on was the wedding. So I can't remember what county this was in. I think it might have been Carlow. The children were reading the love book, and because there were a set of parents who were getting married, they decided to use that and to create a wedding in the setting. And they created a learning story for that. And if I could find the book, there's maybe no book here, but I might be able to show you at the end. Oh, here. So I'll show you that at the end because I'm sharing my screen. I can show you exactly, you know, exactly what way that they did that. So it's just like an ordinary learning story that you would be doing all the time anyway, but you can see it's a good way of doing that. So an example of a short observation was that Jane was in the home corner and her baby was crying. And she said her baby was crying because she was in the cot by herself. And the adult says, Jane, what should we do? And Jane says, let's go and take the baby out of the cot and play with her. I think she's lonely. So that's a good example of an observation where children have shown emotion and empathy for another person. So it's nice and short, but if you notice children talking about emotions, you might want to jot that down and use that as an example. Another example we got in was some of the practitioners, the educators noticed the children were very restless just after small group time. And as we reflected as a team, we realized that children were sitting for a long period of time. So they had snack time and then they had small group time, which meant that children were sitting for quite probably was 15 minutes and then maybe another 20 on top of that. So this group reflected that the restlessness was causing children to pull and push at each other. And we decided in order to support children, we would go outside after snack. And after a while, we decided to do our small group time outdoors and in smaller circles. And this has been fantastic for children's well-being. And I think what they were saying to me was it helped shyer children and children who maybe don't like speaking out in a bigger group to really contribute to the smaller group. So I thought that was a great example. And I think it very much links across to what Jennifer is going to be talking about in relation to physical activity. And we can see here then in question 2, we talk about the use of prop boxes and additional resources. So we've asked you to make your own prop box with resources that you have in your setting already, with books that you might already have. And this group have said that they used this one is Little Red Riding Hood. And there were lots of emotions in this story. So you can see there, they downloaded things that, you know, that they can just stick on the lollipop sticks to, you know, whatever it is you can make up. You know, it doesn't have to be very fancy and it can be very cost effective. There's lots of different ways to do that. Some of the other examples would be to use Play-Doh faces, and a group would have laminated like a face onto a card, and they were able to use Play-Doh to make happy and sad and the different emotions. So obviously doing this in different ways helps children to experience emotions in different ways. And then there are just some examples here of you know, other resources that they use alongside the emotional well-being, because you guys will have other materials that you use in the setting. So it just gives me an idea of how you're adding to the resources that have been provided for you already. So it gives me a good idea that you're using it alongside other things that you already have, which I think is very important. Another area that I felt that you might need a little bit of support structuring is around the music aspect of the programme and how it has progressed throughout the year. So this is just one example that a setting sent me in. At the beginning of the year, we introduced music to the children after we read all the stories. We read the story of Angry and introduced the music to the children in the CD. They moved about and pretended to be giants, and we extended the music by introducing big foam feet alongside the big movements, which I thought was lovely. And I think they used, somebody used cardboard feet for that as well, and tied it around the children's feet to do that, which was good. I think it was good fun. So then in January, we put out the emotions faces, and the children danced and guessed what emotion it was when we played the music. So they would have different faces like happy and sad and lonely. And when they played the music, the children had to guess which one it was. And they extended this by playing statues, where we stopped and started the music, and the children really enjoyed this activity. So, which is lovely. And good to play those types of, and it's a different angle and a different way to approach it for children, which I know they really enjoy. After Easter, we did some painting to the music and extended the children's learning by leaving out the prop box and the music in the book corner indoors. So they had the prop box of whatever they made, and they left the music in there as well on a set of headphones. And then they took the prop box outside and the children started to build it into their play at the tent, which I thought was a great way that shows how you can use the materials in different ways, both indoors and outdoors. Here's a picture of signposting to other services. Obviously, folks, this is pre-COVID. So if you don't have a photograph of your information board, you can send me just an example of a WhatsApp or an email of different resources maybe that you are that you would be you know, that you have available in your setting to support mental health. So it could be a leaflet, it could be anything like that at all. So just some examples, whatever you have, because I do understand that that's a difficult one with COVID. So then question 3 is about really using these points that I have to think about your positive behavior policy. So, and it's about your interactions within your policy. So you might say, well, in our policy, in our behavior policy, you know, we think about the atmosphere, the emotional atmosphere in the setting. We give plenty of time for play, and you know, we think of our children as competent and capable, and we treat them like that, you know, in terms of solving their own problems and giving them strategies to be able to share and to take turns and things like that. And obviously what you could say is that we are on the emotional well-being program for the Healthy Ireland Smart Start, and we use this program to help children to identify, express, manage and communicate their feelings in a positive way, and that is part of our policy. We name our feelings for children in the moment to help them understand, and when conflicts arise, we can support children to manage these in a positive way. And it might be that we get a timer, we swap a toy, or we choose to come back to the toy again, or whatever it is that we might want to do, or we might want to play together. And again, part of your policy could be that you are consistent on your messages. So one day that you see John climbing and you say, John, I see you really want to climb. Let's go outside here and see what we can climb on. The next day, John is climbing and you might say, John, get down off that table. And the third day, you might ignore John's behavior when he's climbing. And I think part of your positive policy is about thinking about a team, as a team, you know, when things like this happen, how can we be consistent to say every day, well, come on, John, we'll see what you can climb on, or how can we help our children? How can we have the same consistent messages that everybody's saying the same thing, you know, when things like these arise? And again, you could say that in our policy, we have different coping strategies. So we model behavior for children. If we feel children are overwhelmed, particularly if you have 2 and 8 month children, you know, it's not always the right thing to start going into a whole thing around, you know, it's not good to do this to your friend, or they're not ready. Sometimes they just shut down emotionally. And when they're younger, sometimes it's just enough to say, right, well, let's pause and come back to this. And we'll maybe go and play over here in the sand or the water, or whatever sensory materials that you might have, could be fiddle toys or whatever. And then when children have calmed down a little bit, maybe that's the point to come over and to talk about that. I've given you some good examples of social stories for children to cope with things like that. And I would be hoping that you would like to make some of your own. So you might say that we are using social stories as part of our positive behavior policy. And then, of course, you have to submit your positive policy to us. So, so that's just a support for you to go down and think about our interactions in our positive policy on an ongoing basis, and so that we can make things easier for children. And I think, given the pandemic and possibly a lot of the issues you might be facing, as we see children having more difficulty around sharing and taking turns, that language could be an issue in terms of children being able to express their emotions. I think that this might be coming up for you more and more as we go forward. In terms of providing, question 4 is around how you provide support and opportunities for parents to engage in the programme. And obviously we can't have a parents' evening, morning or afternoon. So normally I would be asking you for examples of that. So until the pandemic is over, I won't be asking you for that. All I want from you is a copy of the written communication that you have sent home to parents, or an email or a WhatsApp or whatever way you've done it, just to let me see that you have sent information to parents to say to them, we are doing the emotional wellbeing programme as part of the Healthy Ireland Smart Start programme. This is what it's about. And we've got resources. We're going to be working on this on an ongoing basis throughout the year. And if you want to ask us anything about that, you know, you can. And I've given you 2 links there in terms of, you already have these links, but you know, it might be something that you send out to your parents through a WhatsApp or email or anything like that, that shows me that you're trying to engage with them a little bit in whatever way you can, just given that we can't do this with COVID. So hopefully that's pretty clear. Okay. And then we have a question in relation to how the preschool provides support and opportunities for parents to implement the programme at home. And usually what we do, we have completed 8 of the minimum feedback sheets. And this is really to capture the voice of children and parents. But because of the pandemic, a lot of you are not sending home the books, which is fair enough. So I would ask that you might fill those in for me in your setting. So that we can get an idea. So just send me back 8 that you have filled in with the children, you know, in terms of what the children were getting out of the activity and whatever. And you can see there, children have made nice drawings on some of them. And I love to see that, because I'd love to do some evaluation around the voice of the child and what children are saying about their emotions. So part of this programme is about empowering children's voices and giving them agency. And this is one way, and every interaction that you do with them actually helps them to do that. But this is one way for us to capture that. So just with the pandemic, we're not asking you to send them out to the parents, but if you could fill them in for us, the 8 sheets, that would be fantastic. And I've got some examples there for you to see. And there will be some examples in your PowerPoints as well, in relation to the training that you did for the programme. So just eight of those official feedback sheets would be fantastic. And just finally, for yourselves, because I suppose, as I said at the very beginning, your well-being matters to us as well. And we know that that you have been very stressed yourselves throughout the pandemic, trying to keep the show on the road, trying to keep children safe and secure, and keeping up with the COVID cleaning schedule. We know all about that. And, you know, we want to try and help you as much as we can. And we have information here that the HSE are offering a free stress control programme beginning on the 7th of February. And it helps you to look at the signs of stress, and it covers things like how stress affects our bodies and how to overcome panicky feelings, and tips to get a good night's sleep, which I think we could all be doing with. So the link is there, and it'll be there for you to see. I think we're going to be sending it out anyway, and you'll be able to look into that if you would like to, but I do know we've had good feedback from it. So it's important to look after your own well-being. And I would say this is one way that we can do that. So thank you very much, folks. And I'll ask you to put any additional questions into the chat box. I hope that you found that useful for structure. And again, just to say to you, you know, there are different ways that you can do that, but you know, this is just one way that that you can go about putting your information into the emotional well-being section. So thank you very much. I don't know if anybody's any questions for me, but I can keep an eye on the chat box if you have anyway.
Michelle, there's just a question there that has come in with regard to, sorry, there's a question that has come in there with regard to the information from the point of view of communication with parents, and just to say that Patricia, the administrator for the HIS program, will send out all of that information in the future, and not very soon, basically.
Okay, I've got a question here from Mary Murphy. She's asking, can we put photos into the Word document rather than putting into the appendix, as Michelle seems to have done? I think that's okay, isn't it, folks?
Maybe Maureen, do you want to say, Maureen? I think it is, Michelle.
Yeah, look, I put it together in a way that I thought you would find it easy to structure and to understand, and with your captions at the bottom and whatever. So yes, Caroline, you don't need to send any letters home. If some people have sent a letter home to say we're involved in this program, and you know, these are the books and things that we're using for the nurturing emotional well-being, but if you've got a WhatsApp or an email, it's just the communication, whatever it is. Laurent's saying maybe give options for both in text or appendix. Yes, you can do it whatever way you want, but if you feel that you want to put them into the document, I would say that's grand. And if you want to put them in the appendix, that's grand as well.
Michelle, can I jump in there just on the photos? It's Alison.
Yes.
Sorry, no, it's just to say that when we were verifying them, or, you know, like when we were going over them, from my point of view, it was easier when the photos were beside the writing, because then if they're in an appendix or separate, you're kind of going forward and back and you're thinking, is this the photo they mean? Is this the right one? Whereas when it's right there and you have the little brief description beside it, it's very clear what photo they're referring to, and you can see it all straight away.
So,
Yeah.
so are you saying, I'm just going to share my screen again. So are you saying, Alison, that in the way that I have set it up there, right beside the picture?
It just felt because, like, you know, I wasn't just doing one service, you know, you've got a pile maybe of 10. So, you know, you don't have a lot of time, and I was trying my best, you know, you'd be kind of going forward, back, you're thinking, is this the right photo? That doesn't seem to make sense. Whereas here on your page here, with your question 2, the photos there, the description is there. It's very clear what they're referring to, and I can pull even a little bit more because I can visually see the photo with their description. So that's just from my point of view. When I was marking them, it just was very clear that way. So if at all possible, I would put them together.
Okay.
But that, I suppose, depends on people's ability, you know, with a computer and stuff. But just
yeah, and I suppose if you can't do it like that, even if you put them in the appendix, just reference what picture, what number it is, and then that might be easier, you know, question 1 or whatever, photograph 2 or whatever it is. That might make it easier, Alison, if people to do it. That, but I suppose we are trying to give you options. I know what Laurent's saying there, you can do it whatever way you want, but if you can at all, try to make it as easy as possible for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so up next is Jennifer with the physical activity. And Jennifer, if I could ask you to come on screen and then to share your screen.
Perfect. Thanks, Michelle. Good evening, everybody. So my name, as Michelle said, there is Jennifer, and I'm one of the tutors on the Healthy Ireland Smart Start. I recognise a few of the names coming in there, so I have a few of my participants here, which is great to see. So I'm going to take you through the physical activity module now. The physical activity module is probably short, it's a good bit shorter than the other ones. So I know we're a little bit over time on some, but we should be able to, I'd say, make up for time here, because it's a little bit shorter. There's not as much to it. A lot of it is self-explanatory, and a bit like, I suppose, what Aisling was saying there as well earlier, is it's very much showing off what you're doing. So with physical activity, you're already doing so much, which is fantastic, and it's very much just showing off what you're already doing. And then, you know, if you've added anything new from the Healthy Ireland Smart Start, and to be able to show that you've added that is all the better as well. Now I'm just going to double check that you can see my screen. Just give me 1 second now. Okay, so I think we can all see that. If you've any bother, just pop it in the chat box, but I think you should be all able to see that, so that's great. So I'm just going to take you through, you know, very briefly just on the 3 questions that's relation to the physical activity module. So there's 3 set questions that is on your questionnaire. So I've just copied them across. They're exactly the same, and I've kind of put in a few examples, but also more, I suppose, useful is the pictures, because as you know from looking at your questionnaire, the physical activity module is one of those with the asterisks and the grey boxes. So, and as you know from reading the questionnaire and from your tutors and from what the ladies are saying tonight, those are the sections that you have to provide the evidence for. So the first question there on the physical activity section is demonstrate how you engage children aged 3 to 5 in physical activity each day and how often. And then it says provide 3 images with date and narrative. And that's clear and simple, exactly what you have to do. So again, a bit like Ashley Michelle was saying, you know, it's very important that you follow the instructions of exactly what you have to do. And this one here is looking for you to submit evidence with 3 pictures and the date and the narrative. So when you're beginning the physical activity questionnaire and this particular question, I would say maybe just to think about what is your daily routine. So what kind of things can you do? Can you showcase or can you demonstrate that you provide lots of opportunities for children to be physically active each day, and how often? So the evidence looks for 3 images and the date and narrative. Now that's very important, because you know you have to put in the date, and I'll have an example here now in a minute. And also the narrative is just a brief description of what's going on in the picture, and you don't have to overcomplicate it. It doesn't need to be, you know, a long, you know, page long of writing. It's just a brief short narrative explaining what you're doing in the picture and how you're demonstrating physical activity and providing physical activity opportunities for children. So this can be anything at all, from big block play, from demonstrating obstacle courses indoor or outdoor.
2, 6, 7, 8.
You might have active songs that you might be using. So, you know, indoors you might be able to show pictures of children maybe doing the hokey pokey or any songs that involve active activity and movement. You might have some nice climbing apparatus that you might be able to showcase the children using, and then you might consult with your a timetable that you might have demonstrating when you carry out physical activity and so on. So an example of this then, so something as simple as the next slide I have here. Sorry, no. There we go. Something as simple as this, where you have 3 pictures. And
Sorry, Jennifer. Maureen, could you just mute yourself, please? Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, Jennifer, I just heard a bit of background noise there.
No, you're fine, no problem at all, Michelle. So here you can see there's 3 images, and it's just so showcasing, I suppose, the demonstration of how they can be physically active every day. Now here you have an example of 2 photos on the left-hand side of the screen where it just says, having great fun with parachute outside. And then they have a quote, look how I can balance on this log. And it's May 2021. And then on the other side of the screen on the right, it's from a different setting. And it shows the date on the top, which I particularly like. I think it's very clear. They have the 8th of September, 2021. And then it's just a quick narrative underneath it saying, when the weather is poor, we have an indoor slide to continue gross motor development. And that's it. That's as simple as it is. There's no need to overcomplicate this one. It's probably one of the more straightforward ones. So that's question 1. Question 2 then is very similar to question 1. It's looking for you. Again, it has the asterisks and the grey box. So it's looking for evidence to be provided, and it's looking for you to demonstrate how you engage children aged 3 to 5 years in outdoor physical activity each day and how often. So the only difference here is that they're particularly looking for outdoor physical activity. So anything that you can show that demonstrates outdoor play. So it does ask to provide 3 images with date and narrative, and I've actually cut out a little bit of it there because I just added in that outdoor shelter, but it's actually looking for that, something to show that you have took into account for outdoor sun provision as well. So here's an example of 3 clips that you may have for the outdoor place. So a little bit of a narrative at the start, just saying we carry out walking, yoga, circle time, music, songs, running, natural environment, movement, cards, games, etc. And then they have 3 clear images with the date and the narrative to show that the children really love water play here. They're using it to wash the baby dolls. Then the next one is where they're outside in the sand pit, and the children, the narrative here would be the children also love playing in the sand, exploring with the trucks and diggers. And then the last one there, the date is on it again, and it's spread throughout the year. So it's not just, all in September or all in October. It's kind of spread out. We have one from September, from October, and one from July. And here you can see older babies are encouraged to stand and move around using the indoor spaces. So, or what you could also have there is they have an indoor garden, so that the children are moving around the indoor garden. So, and it's important in this one, it asks to provide sun provision, so include some kind of sun shade in the evidence. So what you might have is actually a picture of the children playing, maybe doing an obstacle course outside. Then you might have the children maybe in one of your shelter that you would have. So if it is really sunny day, that the children can still remain to play outside, but that they can do so in a shaded way, that they have somewhere that they can go for shade. And then your third picture might be just something like they are using a balance beam, and again, just demonstrating how they're physically active outdoor. Okay. But then along with that, here's another example. So this is 3 images here as well, and it just shows, this is all for question 2, but it's again very similar to question 1. The only difference really is that this one is for outdoors only. So here you have the 11th of August 2021. And it says, the caption that goes with this are, the babies love getting out to move around in the wormy. So it's also another way to show like how the children are being physically active outside, and that that you can actually see the children in action too. Obviously their faces are blanked out, which is important as well. The middle picture then is from the 12th of November, and you can see the caption along with that says, the outdoor playhouse encourages movement, communication and stretching. So just a little caption kind of explaining briefly what's happening in the image and maybe what the children are working on. You could also have maybe a larger playhouse that you could show the sun provision there as well, and that the children might use when it is a hot day as well. And then the final picture there is from the 24th of August. So this is just demonstrating the seesaw is a favorite. It encourages cooperation, coordination and stomach muscle building. So again, doesn't need to be, big, long paragraphs of writing. It's just looking for a demonstration of how they're physically active outdoors every day. And then finally, as I said, this was quite a quick one. So this is your last question that you have for physical activity. And if there's any questions, we can go through them at the end anyway. But as I said, the physical activity one is pretty self-explanatory. The final question there, and there's an asterisk beside it again, and it's shaded in grey. So that means it's looking for actual evidence. And the evidence here they're looking for is to provide a full copy of your outdoor play policy. And this is very important because this often is what is sent in, is people send in the front page, but that's not enough. So you have to provide a full copy of your outdoor play policy, and with everything that goes in that as well. So the likes of that one now you might want to attach to an appendix if it's too long, but for the other two, you could choose to either put in your photos in the text box on the assessment questionnaire, or you can again attach them in the appendix, whichever suits you. So that's it. If you're looking for some tips and tricks, I suppose, for your outdoor play policy, and I know always look back on the slides and on the PowerPoints that we cover, because you know everything that's in those PowerPoints and those manuals are what these assessments are based on. So you know there's always something to cover each question in the, I know particularly for the physical activity section, there's lots of resources and further references if you wanted to get more information. And I even know for an outdoor play policy, if it's something that I suppose you're not as familiar with, or you might need a little bit of help on, I know there is a sample on tusla.ie as well. So even if you just look up outdoor play policy on tusla.ie, they actually have a really good sample there that you can just double check it with your own one, see is there anything that you've changed or added to it as a result of doing your Healthy Ireland and Smart Start training as well. And also, always go back to the Astra and Shields practice guide as well, which is very useful for when you're trying to put policy together and trying to, I suppose, ensure that children are physically active, that they have loads of opportunities for outdoor play as well as indoor play, and that they're safe and being safe and healthy as well while doing it. So that's physical activity in a nutshell. As I said, it is a bit of a shorter one compared to the others, but there's just 3 main questions on it, and they're very clear on what they're looking for. It's just important to remember to read the questions, to provide the evidence exactly what's needed on each one, and don't forget to put the date and the narrative with it. And I think that's the key piece of information there. So if anyone has any questions, I'm just going to stop sharing the screen and I will answer them now.
I think a lot of the questions, Jennifer, we've been able to answer as you were delivering. We were watching the chat box. If there's anything that we've missed, please shout, raise your hand, anybody out there, or send us the question again in writing. It's great having the chat box. We can sort of watch it as we're going along. Yeah,
that's perfect, Denise. Thanks. I don't think there's anything there I missed.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if that's everything, oh, Anna, you have your hand raised. Have you something you want to ask? Somebody else has. So if you want to pop them in the chat box anyway, and I can answer some of them while we're going on with the presentation. But if there's no other questions, I might hand it over. Thanks so much, everybody. And again, I hope you're getting lots of information from tonight's session. I know it's so beneficial to get to go through each module, and it should be a great help for when you're going forward for the award. So best of luck with everything, and thanks very much. I'll hand you over now. Thank you. Shell, you can take it from here.
Yeah, that's grand. Thanks very much, Jennifer. That's fantastic. So up next is the health promotion, and we have Abina McCarthy. So without any further ado, Abina, take it away.
Thanks very much. And I just saw there in the chat, Georgina saying that physical activity was her favorite. So I hope this presentation does health promotion just as good. Unfortunately, it's a long one, but I do want to stay on time, so I'm going to be quickly going down through it. And thank you all so much for staying with this webinar, because I know it's a long night and I know you all have really busy lives as well. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I did this. I'm going to share this screen with you first. Michelle, you can let me know there if we can all see it there.
Yeah.
Yes, we can see the questionnaire.
So I just want to show you in the questionnaire. So this is the questionnaire you would have got. And health promotion is the first thing that's written down here. But health promotion should be the last thing that you complete, because you're going to go back over the whole year and you can take your examples from the different sections of the modules and put it into the health promotion. So I'll explain that a little bit better as we go along. But just note that for a second. Health promotion is the first section here that you're asked to answer, but when you're doing your self-assessment questionnaire, this part is reflective. So go back over your whole year and then complete it. So for your completion then, you are given 7 of the principles here for health promotion, empowerment, participation, holistic, equality, sustainability, so on. You're asked for the definition, and then you're asked for an example. That's it. So there's 7 of them there. You're asked for a definition, which is only just a sentence long. And then you're asked for an example, which is 200 words. And as you can see here, I've added 240 words. For some of them, I added, 191 or whatever. So I don't think we're going to be too particular. You can see here, 205 words. Just try and keep your answers pretty precise. For the benefits of tonight, for each section, I have given you 2 examples that you could give, but that's only for tonight. That's only for tonight's demonstration. In your self-assessment questionnaire, you're asked for the definition, which is in your manual, or you can take the definition from the first 5 websites. And you're asked for 200 words to give an example of how you implemented this definition or this this principle into your setting. Okay, so without further ado, are we clear on that? I hope it's pretty clear. Michelle, what do you think?
Yeah, I think if we could share those, and people can see them, I think that will help.
Perfect. So we'll go down to it now. So as I said, the first principle anyway is empowerment. And here we're just asked to give your definition and then underneath an example. If you're doing this at home and if you have a pen and paper for empowerment, the definition, as I said, is in your manual here. I don't know if anyone can see that with me on their screen. And but you can also go to the first 5 website. A copy of this presentation will be given to you. So everything here you see written in red, that's okay. You know what that is. And you can put that into your self-assessment questionnaire. And then for the example, you come up with your own example. So I've given you 2 examples. The first one is around how you've used empowerment. The empowerment is the development of both the individual and the community's capacity to enhance their own health and to remove any barriers that might be there to achieve health. And what I've done here is I've looked at our policies and procedures, and I've said for us, empowerment means that we are all well in a position to encourage and foster children to care for their own health through daily activities, provision and activities in the day, promoting children's overall health and well-being. It is the core of our service, and it is reflected in our new ethos of our service and threaded through lots of our policy and procedures, such as healthy eating, nurturing positive behaviour, and participation with families, to name just a few. And below you'll find an example of our new ethos, and all of that was 141 words. Another example you can give for empowerment is when you were teaching children age-appropriate words and phrases to express their feelings. So think about empowerment as maybe removing any barriers that you thought were existent in your service and giving children a sense that they have ownership and control and they can actively improve their health and well-being, such as teaching them a new phrase or new words to express their feelings. So example here is daily we encourage children to nurture and support their in a nurturing and supportive environment where they're encouraged and empowered to care for their own health through everyday provision and practices in our service. We particularly praise children when they articulate their frustrations with others using words instead of lashing out to hurt someone. We have placed a lot of focus on giving young children words and phrases to use when they're looking to turn take or to stop someone who might be hurting them. We were surprised to see how successful it has been to teach children the phrase, "Stop, I don't like it," during the year. It has really empowered, it's such an empowering phrase and easy for young children to say and understand. This focus on teaching young children appropriate words and phrases to express feelings and emotions has certainly helped to reduce conflicts and traumas throughout the year or throughout the day. You can see there that's 154 words, but it has everything you could possibly need. Another thing that you could write down to for empowerment could be teaching children how to correctly wash their hands, or how to correctly sneeze or cough correctly into their elbow. So it's all about teaching new skills or reviewing your policy and procedures. Any of those examples would do just fine. When you're giving your example here, include in your example some action you've taken. Did you find any of these things surprising? And what you possibly may have learned from it. That kind of guideline of what should be included in your 200 words is also in the top part of your self-assessment questionnaire to guide you. Okay, so we'll move on now to the next one. So the next one then is participation. So here it's nice and short again. Participation, it's here written in red. And that definition is given in your manual, or you could go on the First 5 website, and if you find, I think, a more appropriate example of the definition of participation and what that means to you, you can include that instead. But we've given you the definition here, so you can just add it in, and then think about what you did during the year and how does participation fit into your setting. Like, what did you do to encourage participation? So everyone should be encouraged and allowed to participate in the decisions that affect their health. Now, I give an example here of a setting that's a 3 to 5 year old setting that's a full day setting. In January, we review our monthly food menus, our 3-week menu plans. Usually this is an annual event, but this time we saw the involvement of the children over the course of the 3 weeks, 3-week menu plan. Staff and children kept a record of their most favorite meals and snacks and suggested other healthy food options. I chose this example because of the massive positive impact it had on the children, and you could see that they were excited when it came to breakfast, dinner and evening snack to see what they were going to get or discuss what options they would prefer instead. Now, if you're not a full day early learning center, you might go for an example like this. In February, we sent out letters using the template that were provided using template that were provided to our families, explaining how we were participating in this program, and we were going to be reviewing our procedures and policies. This helped us to prepare families. So one of the main concerns that we have is the types of food that are coming in to our service by families for 10 a.m. snack. So if you don't provide the snack, but your parents are, this might be an example that you might think, I could probably use this. It has always been an issue for us. We send out information packs at the start of the year listing the kind of foods that we would accept or think are acceptable or not acceptable, but still we get things coming in like penguin bars and digestive biscuits and cereal bars. So we decided to place a big focus on this after seeing the impact of the sugar snack and drinks we're having on our children's oral health and well-being from the Healthy Ireland Smart Start programme. We developed a sugar board, displayed it with the packages of sugars contained that would be contained in each of the items. And we were even surprised with the sugar content of some of these familiar snacks, and so were our families. We posted the board on our Facebook page because I suppose not all your services, certainly at this stage, will be able to invite parents to drop off children and maybe to see the notice boards inside your setting. So maybe you could take pictures of this, post on your Facebook page, and let the rest of the community also see, or email it out to your families as well. And then in conjunction with that, then you again sent out a list to the parents of the foods that you would prefer to see children consume, and got the children involved as well. And this helped with empowerment as well, because it helped to support and empower families to make better choices too. The snacks improved so much that we took a photograph of each child with their healthy snack for our June newsletter and thanked families for their cooperation and support. That's 250 words. And I suppose the reason why I highlight this is because you can see in this answer here, it starts in February and it ends in June, that it was, a policy that, wasn't tokenistic, and it was something that was developed throughout the year. It didn't start in September because maybe you only took part in the program, in October or November. So it's never too late to change your policy and procedure, and it's never too late to make an impact on families. So we'll move on. Holistic then, you can see here in the red writing, this is the definition given to you. It's inside your manual, and it is, do you take all aspects of the child's health into considerations, from feeding to nappy changes, play, the whole child. All dimensions of health should be taken into account. So for this is for a full day setting, is the first one we have here. We understand that children's emotional, mental, physical, and nurtural and oral health are important and interrelated. So our curriculum offers children an opportunity to develop in each of these areas within our daily routine. We begin our day by warmly greeting them every morning, and then when possible by the child's key worker. There's an opportunity to share important information with parents and guardians. For children who attend our half or full day service, we offer only healthy meals and snacks. Where possible, we encourage children to independently feed or choose what nutritional cereals, fruit, or snacks they would like. This is not only supporting their physical, nutritional, and oral health, but it also helps to empower them to see themselves as capable through the resources available at Free Play, including books, music, sensory materials such as treasure baskets, paint, sand, and water. We support children to explore, be resilient, develop skills, interests, problem solve, resolve conflict, and also discuss our feelings, friendships, and we praise behavior like including others and showing empathy. Because of the HIS program, we now place more focus on providing more movement and movement games in our curriculum. This is only this not only promotes their fundamental movement skills, but it also is a positive impact on their emotional well-being. So the example that's given here, I suppose, is just an example of, well, in your curriculum, in your day, how is it beneficial? That's literally what I'm trying to explain here. So look at your routine in the day. From the moment they come in the morning, be it 9 o'clock and they end at 3, or if you're a full day setting, you might as well add in that example there. I know I've said at the top here 0 to 3 age group, but I think with an answer like that, you could easily apply it as well to a 3 to 5 age group as well. So it's just looking about your setting in the day and what elements of the day promote what different areas in the child's holistic development. Okay, Michelle, am I going too fast? Is that okay?
Oh, I think you're okay, Abina. Just keep going, hon.
Perfect, no problem. So this example again is 3 to 5. I'm not going to go down through it. It's again looking at the whole day again and what elements of the day promote a child's holistic development. You can see here I've added in the word count 175 words. And that's a perfectly acceptable answer as well. It's not too long, not too short. 200 words is the limit. So the next one then is equity. So you have your example there is given. All aspects of the service should be steeped in equality. This does not. What does this mean? Equality refers to fairness and justice, and it is distinguished from equity. Whereas equity means providing the same to all. Equality means recognizing that we do not all start from the same place and must acknowledge and take adjustments into take adjustments to imbalances. To the purpose of ongoing, the purpose is ongoing, requiring us to identify and overcome initial and uninitial barriers arising from bias or stigma or systematic structures. The example there is actually given from the First 5 website, and I think it's a really good example of the definition for this. There is also another definition given in your manual, so where it says that it's about where everybody should have equal access to the care they need and equal opportunity to lead a healthy life. So again, if you are 3 to 5 or 0 to 3 or 3 to 5 setting, you might look at ensuring health promoting messages are accessible to all families. So in this example I gave, what would you do if English was the first language of many of the readers? And you would make sure that any messages that you're displaying on your notice board or emails that you're sending out is written in a way that removes a lot of jargon and might include a lot of photographs. And you're also acknowledging that people that may be coming from other countries might not know some of the public health policies that are in Ireland, such as the vitamin D supplement policy that we have here, or that children, under 2 shouldn't have fluoride toothpaste. So come with the learning that you have from different areas of the Healthy Ireland Smart Start programme and try and add it in here. So you acknowledge the health inequalities that are in a society, that some people may be facing, and what you're trying to do is overcome these. So again, that's 184 words, not too long, not too short, gets the point across. You don't have to include any photographs or anything else additional in here. But if you did, I'm sure it wouldn't go amiss either. Like if you want to post messages on your Facebook page, you might take a screenshot of your Facebook page showing maybe images of you sharing, a healthy recipe with the parents, written in a language that is accessible to them, and sending home the information as well to parents so they can try them at home as well. Another example too, I thought this one might be appropriate as well if you're living in a very urban setting. So we acknowledge the impact that different living conditions can have on families' abilities to engage in healthy behaviours, such as living in an apartment or near a busy road can make it more challenging for families to enjoy outdoor play and nature. We understand it is not impossible to do so, but because of circumstances outside of their control, it can be a little bit more challenging. To support families and give children greater opportunities to play outdoors, we now utilize our outdoor space more. We change our routine and develop the areas so that during free play, children can freely move indoors and outdoors and still enjoy activities they would have traditionally done indoors, such as painting or puzzles, with more opportunity for robust play, free air or fresh air, and physical movement. We now have see a reduction in conflict between children and in general a calmer environment each day. That's 159 words. I pulled that out. An example is for this section, it's really about acknowledging the circumstances of the children within your room, and how you can ensure that they have you are promoting as much as possible a healthy life for them. You're seeing maybe their circumstances from home, maybe their parents maybe don't know what types of fresh or what types of healthy snacks could be provided. So there you're giving information from www.healthpromotion.ie. Give loads of free booklets that you can send out to parents, and that could be a lovely answer in here, so we'll move on. Sustainable. So for this, it's about actions should not be tokenistic or once off. And the first example I've given here is healthy eating every day, including special occasions like birthdays or national holidays. I think we've covered that a lot as well at the start with Aisling. So you can perfect. I love this part actually about the health promotion. You can take examples that you've done in other sections of your self-assessment questionnaire and put it in here. So for example, Aisling gave in her one about the different things that you would have done to celebrate Valentine's Day differently this year than what you've done last year. And that's something you can add in here. So I could use that example at the start and still put it in here, and I'd still have a very, very good solid self-assessment questionnaire. Here I've said we would always have said that we were a healthy eating setting, but on reflection, it was not always sustained or consistent. Daily, we ensure children's snacks are healthy, but on reflection, this positive message about healthy eating was not reflected in the materials that we provided. For example, in our home area, we had more toy ice creams and toy buns and donuts and biscuits than actual healthy food. So we were also not consistent with the healthy eating messages over the year. So when it came to things like birthdays, Halloween, Christmas, and Easter, these big celebrations, we would have had a party with sweets and crisps and dilute. But now we've completely changed our practice, and in our home area, we've got more toy fruit and vegetables from Lidl and Aldi. We've added healthy food cookbooks. That actually was taken from a service that I had this year. It was a fabulous idea. With lots of photographs daily. So daily children are pretending they're cooking and eating healthy meals. And we celebrate cultural events now with games and face painting. And then you could give a particular example, such as for Halloween, we dressed up and played traditional games, and so on and so forth. So a lot of those examples you probably would have used in your nutrition. You don't need to add them in here as well if you didn't want to, because you would have already supplied the photographs in the nutrition section. That's 262 words, a lovely little example there of where you were and throughout the course, how you've changed your behavior, how you reflected on your practice, and how you can deliver health promotion in a more sustainable way, that you're not being tokenistic. It's not just once off and you never talk about it again. There's another example. That's okay. It'll be all emailed out to you anyway. This one for I always mispronounce this. Michelle, will you jump in there? Will you pronounce that word for me?
Which one now, Martimeo?
No,
No.
intersectoral.
Oh,
That's the
intersectoral.
word.
Sorry,
You don't want to
apologies.
know what I pronounce it anyway. I have this little running joke with all my participants as well. So if they're out there, they know what this is. Sorry about that. Yeah.
That's
So-
grand, Davina. Don't worry about
I
it.
would have been out of my Cork accent anyway, I don't know. Anyway, so here we have written in red the definition, and that comes from the First 5 website as well. But in blue here, you have an example that's given from your Healthy Ireland Smart Start manual. So you can add that in there. That's just as good. So one example there is how you've linked with other agencies to help enhance your health promotion message. So that's like linking in with Early Childhood Ireland, the National Childhood Network, Help Desk, Cork County Childcare Committees, even TUSLA, whatever it is. I'm going to move on to the next example because it's more related to the 3 to 5 age group. We sought help and support from professional groups and agencies to enhance our health promoting practices over the years. These include our Early Childhood Ireland, the National Childhood Network. Our aim was to develop and use our outdoor space more so children could enjoy the benefits of more fresh air and nature. We gathered information on the importance of outdoor play for both these professional groups and shared them with our families. At our April board meeting via Zoom, we shared video clips from the First Five website on different preschools and their outdoor environments, so they understood and supported the direction we were going. Because I suppose I'm very aware too that a lot of you maybe are coming from settings that are community-based as well. So maybe you don't have complete control over the finances as well and how you can spend the money, and maybe you have to get as well, you know, a direction from your board of management as in, you know, what kind of things you can do and where you can spend your money basically. So you have to get people on board. So that may be an issue for your service. If not, you can skip that little part there. So what your goals were then is to develop a mud kitchen and develop a stand pit, and see how you interact as well with your parents to see would any of them be interested in fundraising to make this possible or make it themselves, or as if you have a bigger project for your outdoor area, try and link in with your two-slut inspector. If you want to do a large outdoor sand pit, for example, it would be no harm to send an email to your two-slut inspector and just make sure that you both agree on design. There's nothing worse than spending, you know, quite a lot of money on something for them to have a different understanding of, maybe they're not so happy with one element and then spending more money again to correct it. So it's about getting involved with many different sectors and pulling resources like that. Okay. And the last one that we have here is multi-strategic. So many different strategies are used in the development of the health promotion program initiative. And this example is given again in your Healthy Ireland Smart Start manual. So the one example I've given here is your positive self-care attitude. So maybe with this health promotion module at the start, you were asked to describe about your self-care and what you do to look after yourself. But on reflection, you have discovered that you don't do a lot to look after yourself. Oh, you need to look at that maybe and then change your policy. This example is given, you can read it in your own time. And another one here. Ladies, I'm going to end it there if that's okay, because I know we're kind of gone over. And if anybody has any questions, there's no problem. Will I bring back in Maureen there and Michelle and Denise?
Sorry, Abina, say that again.
No, you're okay. We're finished here.
You're fit. That's brilliant.
I bring you back in.
Oh, thanks so much. That has just been fantastic. So practical information. Thank you very much. That's great. We're going to, I don't know, with any of the questions, there weren't that many questions that came through. I think any ones that did, apart from, I did notice the name, somebody raised their hand. If they want to just, Mary Purcell, Mary, do you want to come in and ask a question? Or do you want to put it into the chat box? I just noticed Mary had her hand up. You can unmute yourself if you want to. If not, look, just put it in the chat box, okay? Yeah, oh, that was a mistake. Okay. Thanks, Mary, no problem. Okay, folks. Alison, here you go. Here's Michelle's back. Michelle, back to you. Thanks again, Abina.
No problem. Thanks very much.
Okay, fine. Thanks very much, Alison. Last but not least, is going to cover a bit on oral health. And I know that you'll find this very interesting, Alison, so thank you very much for that. Diane Darcy is asking me to show the wedding book. I'll try and do that at the end, Diane, but I will let Alison go first and get on with oral health, because I know some of you have been asking what time we might be finished at, and we'll be finished obviously at the end of the oral health. And I thank you very much. So many of you stayed with us this evening. So I know that Alison has got some nice examples for us in relation to that. So take it away there, Alison.
Thanks, Michelle. So I'm just going to screen share here. Hopefully just, Michelle, is that showing there? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
You're grand.
So, and I do appreciate the time, guys, and I'm going to just, this is a nice one, it's an easy one, and it's a fairly quick one, so I'll fly through. So question 1 then would be, how do you create an awareness of tooth brushing? So I have it there, part A, you need 2 photographs of children brushing teeth on a model. The photos must be dated and include a short description. So here I have my 2 photographs of children with the big giant toothbrush and the model. Here the children show how they've learned to brush teeth correctly. We all took turns with the teeth models and brushes. The children know that they should brush all surfaces of each tooth, inside, outside, and the chewing surfaces. They know how to hold the brush correctly and how much toothpaste to put on the toothbrush. And then I have the date for those photos is the 21st of October, 2021. So then, oh, I have the same problem, sorry, that everyone else had. It won't.
Is it
go on.
freezing, Alison?
It's, yeah, no, I'll just share this one instead, hang on.
Yeah, Alison, it was
Yeah.
doing that on me as
Yeah.
well. I had
So
to keep them back out and in,
yeah.
so I had
I'll
to
do
go
it
that
this
way.
Yeah, is that all right? Everyone can still see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then part B of question 1 asks for 2 photos of children demonstrating pea-sized amount of fluoride toothpaste. And again, the photos need to be dated and a short description. So I have photos, I actually have, these are almost now prehistoric photos. These are from when I first started doing Healthy and Smart Start myself. These children are brushing their teeth in preschool. So the children have learned to use only a pea-sized amount of fluoride toothpaste. They demonstrated this for us today in preschool when they practiced how to brush their teeth. We have sent pictures of this amount of toothpaste home with the children as a visual reminder when they are brushing their teeth at home each day. And I just popped in the little picture that we had sent home. There's the pea and there's the little tiny pea-sized piece of toothpaste. And I have the date there, the 15th of September, 2021. So it's just as simple as that. So then the next part is part C of question 1, where they ask for 1 group photo of children holding a completed weekly toothbrushing chart and a copy of a completed chart. So here on the left, you see I have the blank, my brushing chart. So that's the example. That would have been the one that I would have sent home. So that's just the example, show what you've used. Now, the photo here, I didn't have a photo of a group of children holding, so this is just the children in my service doing a fire drill. But there they are, they're all very happy, and you can imagine them holding their toothbrushing charts. The children all received a toothbrushing chart, which they brought home to complete each morning and evening. We talked about toothbrushing each day in preschool, and the children told us how they were getting on filling in their charts. They were very proud when they had all filled in their charts. And the date there for the photo is the 7th of November, 2021. So you can see these are fairly straightforward. It asks for the photo and you give the photo and the description. It's a nice one, the oral health one's nice. So question 2, how does your service promote children's oral health? So part A is asking for 2 photos of providing healthy snacks and drinks, and photos can be used from other modules. And I know some of the other speakers have mentioned this as well. You can double up, sometimes things cross over between 2 modules. Just remember to date your photos and include a little description. So I have the photo there of the little Christmas tree there from the 17th of December. At our Christmas party, we made a beautiful Christmas tree from fruits, cheese and crackers. The children all loved it and it didn't last very long. And then there's the photo of our bottles. In our service, we provide water bottles for each child. This encourages children to drink only water during preschool, and the bottles are available throughout the session so children can get a drink whenever they wish. And you can see there how they're labelled with the children's photo and their name so they're recognisable. That photo, I just ran out and took it today actually, but the bottles are available every day. So I have the date there on the photo. So part B of question 2 asks for a sugar display. So sugar display is always a really, really good one. It's really fun and interesting and interactive. And every time I'm with a group, you know, this is the one that kind of gets people's imaginations going, and it's a good hands-on one. So make a sugar display to create awareness of sugar content in foods and drinks. Outline the steps involved by taking photos of children helping to make the display, and include photos of final sugar display displayed within your preschool. And again, the photos must be dated and include a brief description of your photos. So again, now I'm just creating photos. So here is an image of the children in my service. Again, I have permission for these photos. So We had a group chat about what sugar is and whether it's good for us and our teeth. The children had lots of opinions. We suggested we could find out how much sugar is in some foods. We could be sugar detectives. The children are going to find some packages from at home and bring them in. So that's kind of the start of our sugar display. Now, again, I've only got 2 photos, this photo and this one here of the actual sugar display. But again, you could have photos of the actual, it says they're outlined the steps involved. So whatever steps you take to create your sugar display, you just document them in this way. So have your photo and then have your little brief description. And of course, the date there is the 11th of January for that one. And here we have the, now I found this picture on Twitter via Pinterest of this sugar display, but it just shows exactly what you would be looking for. We read all the packages and we found out how much sugar was in each item. Then the children helped us to spoon that amount of sugar into Ziploc bags, which you can see in this image. The Ziploc bags are underneath each drink. We put the Ziploc bags on display under each package so that we could all really see how much sugar is in each item. We were very surprised by how much sugar was in some items. And I have the date, the 20th of January, 2022. Now, of course, you could get much more into it. You could have quotes in there as well from the children if there was something that really came out from the process when you're doing the sugar display. But that's just a very simple, just to give you an idea. And then part C of question 2 asks for 2 photos and 2 drawings of using art activities to convey pictures of happy, sad teeth. Now, I didn't have photos, so these are all kind of art. So maybe they're all drawings, but in your services, you will be able to take photos of the children taking part in these activities. So the drawings and the photos should be dated and include a brief description. So I've said here the date is the 8th of November 2021, and we have talked as a group about foods that make our teeth happy or sad. You can see on the left there we have the bad tooth at the top, and it's all coloured in all orange and brown and horribly, and the healthy tooth is underneath. It's not nice white and sparkly. Then we use leaflets from local supermarkets to cut out pictures of various foods. The children categorised these pictures into good or bad for our teeth. They made a poster for our classroom, which you can see on the right there, the green one, foods that are good for our teeth. And they also made pictures to bring home to show their families what we've learned about teeth-friendly foods. And that's a great fine motor activity as well, cutting out of leaflets from all your local supermarkets. Excuse me. So that's a great activity and a very, very simple one, but a great way to get some conversation going about healthy foods and get their knowledge of different kinds of foods, you know, talking about calcium, milk, cheese, yogurts, that kind of thing. And also just, you know, like you can see there that meat, eggs and fish are high in phosphorus, which protects our tooth enamel. And then like crunchy foods like apples, carrots and celery increase your saliva, which cleans away bacteria. So, you know, there's lots of different types of food which are good for your teeth, not just the typical calcium. And then question 3, this is our last question. Question 3, how are the oral health messages linked to other modules? So health promotion, physical activity or emotional health and well-being. So I've just done a little short. Now, obviously you could go into it a little bit more, but again, there actually is no word that I could see on this, but I would stick with the 100 words is a good one. A good kind of amount to write, not too much, not too little. So I've linked it to nutrition. We ensure that the children learn about the importance of healthy eating for their overall health and well-being. Eating good foods helps our teeth and our bodies to work properly and stay strong. Then there's a link with physical activity as well. Good healthy food also impacts our ability to be physically active and have energy to play and move. And then it links, obviously, as Abina was saying, with the health promotion, kind of links with everything. Throughout the time we have been learning about oral health, we've shared leaflets and links to oral health websites and other reliable sources of information with our families. So oral health links with a lot of the other modules. And question 4, our last question, please give examples of how your preschool communicates with parents. So you can see here, I've highlighted in red kind of the main ways we do it. So we have monthly newsletters in which we share any relevant information about what we've been learning, what has happened this month. We also share general information and updates on what's been happening in our Instagram and Facebook pages. We use WhatsApp to communicate with our parents on a day-to-day basis. If we need the children to bring in something such as the food packaging for the sugar display, we pop it in a message on WhatsApp. We're also available to parents for informal chats at drop-off and collection times if parents want to keep us updated on anything that's occurred overnight or since we last saw them. And we have a parents notice board on which we display informational posters and leaflets. So that's just what I came up with. Obviously, each service might have slightly different ways of communicating with parents, but that's how I would answer that. And that's all I have for oral health. I hope I kind of powered through that. I'm just conscious how late it is. But I hope that was helpful and covered it all for everybody.
Thanks very much, Alison. You captured that all very well.
In a nutshell.
And in a nutshell, you were very good. And I think you'll agree that all our panelists have been very good tonight in terms of sharing examples of practice for your portfolio. I hope that you found this informative, and I can see that we're getting some messages in that people have found it to be so. We can tell by the evaluation from the training that you really needed help with the self-assessment. So this is part of our way of helping you to work towards your Healthy Ireland Award if you wish to, and to implement it well into your practice. So I just want to thank everyone tonight for joining us. To our panelists, well done, folks. That was excellent. And I want to thank our CEO, Denise McCormilla, for keeping an eye on the chat box, and Maureen McDermott, our HIS coordinator. I also want to thank Patricia Cassidy, who's always working hard in the background for the HIS programme. And she is the lady who is always in contact with you. So I want to thank her for that. And I also want to thank Pauline Hamill for providing us with a lot of technical support this evening. So I just want to thank you all and to say good evening. And if there's anything, Denise, you want to add to that, we're looking forward to getting a load of portfolios in, folks.
It's gone too late. I'm going to say nothing other than to say thanks a million, Michelle. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to all of you that have stuck with us for a long session, but it's great to see that it's been helpful to you. That was our desire. And any further questions that you have, please come back through Patricia, and then she'll share the questions with Maureen or Michelle or whoever, or the HSE, whoever it might be. And just to say to you that we will have Childhood Services Week on the week of the 23rd of May to the 28th of May. And our theme will be demonstrating how the arts promote children's health and well-being. So there'll be loads of opportunities to highlight your dancing, your movement, your activities, your storytelling, drama, and blah, 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 blah. We'll be in touch with loads of ideas. And look, thanks everybody. It's been brilliant having you all. And as I say, please shout if you need more. So well done, Michelle. Thanks everybody.
Thanks, folks.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much. Don't forget, folks, to fill in the little poll. There's 2 questions, Denise. We forgot about that. If you could fill in the little poll at the end, it just lets us know, you know, if you need more support in particular areas or whatever.
Yeah.
And don't forget, this is recorded as well, you know, so if there's a lot of information, I can see, you know, some of you felt that it might be very long to retain the information. So that's why we're recording the session, so that you will be able to play it back. Denise, the poll is whenever you come out of the session.
Yes, when you go. Yes, when you
so,
go to
Georgina, when you come out of the session, the poll should come up, and there's only 2 questions.
And if you still miss us, you can let us know. You can send Patricia a message, and we will send you the questions tomorrow, because we love to get your feedback. Be it positive or negative, we love to get your feedback.
Alison, we're keeping you up. You've got school in the morning.
I know, I'm never up this late, yeah. But then, you see, my dinner was late. So I'd probably be up half the night now. I was eating my dinner during
Oh, God love
the
you.
first week, so I was like, oh, do you know, so now I'll be partying all night now. I'll be wild. Yeah. So I might wash the floors or something.
Go mad and wash
Oh,
the
that was a
floors.
great session, Alison. It was great. I mean, honest to goodness, there is a variation between what the HSE expect, you know, from like 9 questions for the nutrition, a lot in the health promotion, and then so much shorter for the
Like,
physical.
no,
activity.
mine was like that. I was
Yeah, like
just put me on first. I could have been in bed.
But I really enjoyed yours actually. I was like, boom, boom, boom.
Boom.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, well, that's
Yeah.
that's
But you know
my
what was
style.
great as well, Alison? The fact that some of you have done the validation. Like I think that doing
Yeah,
the validation was a
absolutely.
great what would you say, teacher? Do you know, I know Ashley found
Yeah.
that really useful.
It
so
was, yeah, it just really hones down. You're like, but this is what you need. This is
this
the
is what,
important bit.
yeah,
When it comes down to it, this is how you're going to show what you know and what you do.
That's exactly it. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just amazing. 112 people participated tonight, and 100 stayed really almost right until the end for a couple, and a few that had to
I
go.
was watching the numbers dwindling. I was like, don't leave. I'm great.
No,
Actually, I thought they did well. Actually, God love them.
Oh my
But,
God. I
you
feel
know,
like I
some
was
of
the
them have been
nail in
on
the
from 7
coffin.
o'clock this morning. You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
7, that's a long day, and I mean, Lord, God bless us, it is long, but and there's, you know, it's hard to know. We could have done it over 2 nights, and then that, you know, it's hard to look at. It was great. I know an awful lot more if I was submitting evidence from my service. You have made it so clear, honest to God, so much clearer and manageable, you know, and really, really good. And Abina, you're on duty tomorrow night as well.
I'll be probably if I don't divorce that man, like how loud was that child in the background? And now he's as quiet as a church mouse. He's taken him to the other end of the house.
That is Murphy's law. Murphy says that your children have to talk and be heard in the background.
And Michelle, he came in actually when you were like, and we're going to introduce our participants, and I had my camera off because I was at the other part of the house trying to keep him quiet and in a room until my husband came in, and then
he wanted to participate. What are you
oh,
talking
he did, yeah. He had chocolate on his face, so I was like, "Not a good example."
He was
And
making
he's
his voice. He was
Very
making his
good.
voice heard.
Yeah,
Oh
totally.
Lord, yeah, definitely the voice of the child is coming through tonight. Anyway,
Totally. You couldn't make it
I'll
up
have
now,
it
could
better
you?
prepared anyway tomorrow night. I'll have reinforcements anyway, and I'll have-
Abina, shush, you were great. You
I
were
could
all
hear somebody
powerful.
singing. Was he singing, making wee noises in the background?
yeah,
All I could hear was woo.
yeah. He's well, with his autism, anyway, like he's very good now with singing and rhymes. Like he doesn't know what they mean or anything, but and even really unusual ones too, even ones I don't really know, that he kind of picks up, and yeah, it's very nice actually. Yeah, and I'm kind of into music as well, so I feel like that's a little bit of my trait as well, like so.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could hear it
Nice,
coming through
yeah.
definitely, Albina, and I was thinking, oh,
Yeah.
that's lovely. Whatever's going on.
Well,
Like, it
one
wasn't-
night only.
Yeah, well, it didn't put us off, so you don't need to
Oh,
worry
it
about
put me off. I think I was like, oh my God.
You'd never know. You'd never know.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Food under
folks.
pressure.
Guys, should we send on, like, will I send on my little mini PowerPoint? Are you going to share that with
Please,
the
yeah,
participants?
please,
Will
Alison.
I send
Do
that to
send it on to
Trish?
Trish.
Yeah, send it to Tricia.
Yeah, Denise,
Yeah.
just stop recording now, please.
Oh, goodness
We'll only have
me.
to edit
Yes,
more
thanks,
out.
Pauline.
Okay. Edit out